Well, good morning on this Christmas day, and a Merry Christmas to all of you. Traditionally, of course, we say a small greeting on Christmas Day a little earlier than usual. Of course, there's a big hype about Christmas from the very start. Here in Ireland, once we've gotten over the Samhain, then commercial operations start heading for Christmas. But for those who are more devout, the last 4 weeks have been a preparation for this celebration today, the celebration of the joyous nativity of the Lord Jesus. And of course, all that sometimes gets lost in the commercialism. I remember, even in my own childhood, the great excitement, never mind about the logistical problems, of Santa Claus coming down a chimney. And our chimney, well, we didn't have a chimney actually. So the key was left under a mat and all the rest of it. These were the various traditions. It's often something I say to people in Ireland. You see, up to the age of 9 or just after the age of 9, no child will believe in Santa Claus anymore. Did we lie to the child? And many people say, perhaps we did. But I say, no, you didn't. Because up to the age of 9, Santa Claus was this mythological person who gave presents. And I think Americans have done a great job in commercializing this Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas. But you see, at the age of 9, when they no longer believe, you don't say, no, there is no Santa Claus. You say, yes, there is, but it's not a person. It's a spirit of giving. It's a spirit of generosity. And everybody throughout the whole of humanity understands this. And that is what has made Christmas a universally celebrated day and a universally celebrated period of time. And just like Diwali or Deepavali has become now universally celebrated, so Christmas has been universally celebrated. We need not go to the event of the birth of Christ, except, of course, the spiritual value is in that. And when we ignore that, we are bypassing a great treasure. And so those who are devout will emulate the 9 months of gestation that a woman has to go through in her birth of a child, culminating in such a joyous occasion. And in this way, in spiritual life, we also have to make a preparation for a great awakening, an intimate contact with the inner Christ child, if you wish to put it like that, or the inner self of your own being. And so, as with many religious festivals, preparations consist of a thorough mental cleansing, and that is what we have called Advent. In the 7th century, the time period was only about 9 days. But as the devotion of the common people increased, so did this purification or penitential preparation increase. And so the lesson in our life is that we can't expect to dive deep into our own spiritual realms without an element of preparation. And such diligence was not because Christmas was simply the recollection of a traditional historical event, but it was to bring a spiritual scene to life. And it was Francis of Assisi who, you may say, invented the crib that stands behind me, because he thought this was a great visual representation of ourselves, he being a mystic. So in the center is the Christ child that is born. That is our own inner spiritual dimension that we can visualize as a child. It's an opportunity for us to think of that supreme, that religion calls God, from a parent's point of view to a child. That's a wonderful concept. And it is there in other religions too. Of course, it's there in Hinduism. And so although this is the most universally renowned commemoration, even when non-religious people get caught up in its commercialism, the true value will be lost on us if we fail to see the deeper meaning. What is the deeper meaning? We can take Christmas as a celebration of all divine incarnations. The 19th century mystic Sri Ramakrishna had this to say: the avatar, or the divine incarnation, is always the same. Having plunged into the ocean of life, the one God rises up at one point and is known as Krishna. And after another period, another plunge, and it rises up at another point, and he is known as Christ. These are not just haphazard appearances on the stage of life, but they come when there is a stagnancy of spirituality, and therefore a decline of the harmony of dharma, or the decline of harmony itself. Yada yada hi dharmasya glana tada atmanam shriyam aham. The Lord embodies himself, not just once, but whenever the need arises from age to age. This will be an area of disagreement between those who feel a kind of exclusivism. But we can leave the theology to theologians and rely on the wonderful, unique experiences of the mystics. And again, in Sri Ramakrishna's words, a viceroy is deputed by the monarch to quell lawlessness and disorder in a distant dominion. In this same way, similarly, an incarnation is a person of authority sent by God, who we can denote as Ishvara. Into society, he comes to put in order all lapses and deviations in the practice of religion and morality. So, the teachings of the Lord Jesus are those of eternal truth, what we call Vedanta or Sanatana Dharma. I once said to a group, the only way is Vedanta. And they got a shock because they thought Vedanta is a religion rather than an underlying ocean of truth. And so, how do we capture this in the words of Jesus? Well, we capture it by selecting conveniently the Beatitudes. These are from the Sermon on the Mount, and we can take it as very symbolic, because in the Judeo-Christian tradition, every major event, every mark of spirituality, every profound message is delivered symbolically from a mountain. Moses got his commandments on a mountain, Mount Sinai, and Jesus sits on a mountain and delivers the synthesis of this wonderful teaching. And the style in which Jesus spoke was suitable for the understanding of the ordinary person. His most lofty and selective teachings were reserved for his immediate apostles. This is delivered on the mountain. And the different standpoints to suit different people are adopted on their individual spiritual journey. And these are summarized in 3 key statements that he made. The Father in heaven. This is a dualistic standpoint. We start our spiritual life by assuming that there is an external entity somewhere outside and beyond ourselves. This is not entirely wrong. It is just localizing the Supreme in a heaven, maybe in the sky, conceptually. He says, I'm the vine and you are the branches. This appeals to those who get a better understanding. This is more of a Vishishtadvaita, as we call it. That is, it is a partial divinity. I'm the spark of the divine. I'm the vine, you are the branches. There's a connection. There's an immanence in the world. And for practical purposes, all of us adopt this. And then the highest teaching, I and the Father are one. And so one or the other of these statements can be recognized by dualists, by pluralists, and also by non-dualists or monists. And these are meant for these 3 different developments in spiritual life. But Christ's most supreme teaching is one of unity and love it would be difficult to surpass the ultimate human sacrifice of his own life or his own lifeblood for the sake of suffering humanity. To crucify our ego, our sense of I, and surrender our clinging to life in order to embrace the remembrance of our own divine glory is a teaching that was not just measured out in empty phrases, but illustrated in a real and dramatic example. And this is why that and the subsequent Easter, or the rising of the risen Christ, is the most significant in Christianity, even though we make more of a fuss at Christmas time. When December the 25th was originally celebrated, or originally it was there anyway on the Julian calendar, on the Julian celebration of the winter solstice. And it was caused for universal thankfulness, rebirth, and mercy making, or merry making also. And the date was appropriately selected for the birth of Christ, when Christianity had its origins in the Greco-Roman world. This synergistic approach that adopts the already the celebrations, indicating the sun as an echo of divinity. It's a life giver. It radiates. It's in every corner through. It is beautiful. It is radiant. It has all the qualities of a supreme entity and is an appropriate symbol. And so this day, 25th, was adopted because we have no idea correctly when Jesus was born. If we look at some of the birth accounts, we'll see possibly it was in June or something like that. It was in summer. We don't know, but we don't care either. Christmas is therefore a celebration of all incarnations. It provides us with the opportunity to worship our personal ideal of God in a pure attitude of a parent towards a helpless and innocent child. It's an opportunity to open and renew our hearts, to allow our inner Christ child to reside there as an inner recreation of the St. Francis of Assisi's nativity crib scene, and to radiate its goodwill and peace to everyone. Let us analyze this crib. First of all, there are ox and ass, breathing their warmth. Our own breath is there. And the crib itself, the structure, is our own body. And central to it is our own Atman, our own inner divine, in the beautiful form of a child. The beauty about seeing this as a child is that a child is helpless, and all we have to do is create some service. And then you'll see the love that is there. The parents are there close. The love is a dimension that we all have. And then ultimately, wise people come from the East. We have the intellect that is added. Intellect, the head, the heart, and then the breath, the offerings of shepherds, the hands. All of this is our own self in all our dimensions with our personalities. A humble, small structure in which something glorious is born. What a wonderful image. And this is an image that we can meditate on. So with this brief message, I wish you all a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your day with these profound thoughts, and we can carry this over. Of course, here in Ireland, we have on the 5th, I think it is, 5th or 6th, I'm not sure, of January, we have the Little Christmas. This gives, in Irish culture, it gives an opportunity for the men to then serve the women, since they have been busy with the Christmas preparations and so on and so forth. But it is also the Epiphany, that is when these wise men come. It's all a drama enacted for our spiritual benefit. And with all dramas, as with all dramas, we can take the profound message and reflect on them, but also enact whatever message is there for us. So enjoy a wonderful Christmas, the time of great thankfulness and the time of great celebration the time for families, the time for spirit of generosity to be expressed everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Thank you.